Hey guys, William the Tank Engine here for my first commentary video of Edward's holiday, which I made into my theory of how Edward wasn't in Thomas and the Magic Railroad. So anyways, enjoy! This episode, well, I actually felt like doing it because it could have been a meanwhile for Thomas and the Magic Railroad, and since Edward wasn't in this movie and that stuff, if you guys get the plot. But yeah, we do know what happens in Thomas and the Magic Railroad, don't we? Now I did want to do it because I felt like it, and it was good. Now we feel like that another intro or commentary video is produced now. But anyways, let's go to the beginning of this video. So we see Thomas going into the sheds feeling tired, and his friends are there, and then we see the Fat Controller with Mr. Conductor, yes, because the Fat Controller goes on holiday and Mr. Conductor looks after the railway. Well, we all know that the Fat Controller and Lady Hat are going on holiday, and yeah, I think it was an interesting theory of mine since I've noticed Edward, or since we notice Edward isn't in Thomas and the Magic Railroad, and the Fat Controller is on holiday. Now we get to this scene when he chooses an engine, and then Gordon, Henry and James wants the Fat Controller to choose either of them. And yeah, here it is. We have Henry and Gordon, and last but not least, in a minute now, James! Ha! Here's James! And we see all the etc, and the Fat Controller decides to choose Edward, which we all know will be coming up in a sec, which is the next scene. I actually wanted to do this, which is quite good, and I had the itinerary too, and I really wanted to do it, since I knew Edward is still not in Thomas and the Magic Railroad, and everybody were disappointed that he wasn't in it. So I just thought this video would be a nice theory of mine for them, which anyone might disagree with me or not on this one, but I really enjoyed making it. It was third time lucky, and I really liked it. Now we see the Fat Controller and Mr. Conductor disappearing, the engine's going to sleep, yes, and we move on to the next scene. James, when he's not happy about the Fat Controller choosing Edward to take him on holiday. This scene is kind of like Diesel does it again. You'll know what I mean after you see the next scene and that stuff. And yeah, it was a bit slow, kinda is going slow now, but you know what? Yeah, here he goes bumping the trucks, because the trucks were making fun of him. Edward shouts out, but bang on, James shunts some trucks into a siding, into the water where there's no buffers. And yeah, now you know how this goes on. Here are Donald and Douglas. Yeah, I could have added Toby into this video, which kind of sucked, but I didn't have as much time, so I'm very sorry about that. I just can't help it when I don't have enough time. I suppose everybody can't help that. Now, on to the next scene, which we all know is a bit like Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure, when Thomas bumps Gordon's coaches and they get off the rails. and other crazy stuff happens like that. Yeah, you know what I mean. Now, on to this scene. Here goes. Yep, the Fat Controller does snap at James for blaming Edward, Donald and Douglas for his crash, but really, we know he doesn't. We know it was him that's done it. And like I said, I just hope I would make sense into how James was in the sheds at the beginning of Thomas and the Magic Railroad and that stuff, and he's gone. Yeah, I wonder if that could make sense. Now here's the scene when they're on the boat. Yeah, Edward, the Fat Controller, and Lady Hat on the boat. The engine's at the docks, and yeah. I wish I could have had a Lady Hat, but apparently not. So it does kind of suck without her, but oh well. And I've got to admit, this video was good for me to make. It was quite fun, actually. Now we move on to the scene where they go to this docks at, yeah, I've just put the crane there, but although it does look like a docks plus a forest, but I just thought it would be good, because I thought the countryside would be the place for Edward and the Fat Controller and Lady Hat to go on holiday at. Now we see them in the tracks, and yeah, the crane turns. Yeah, this was really good to make. Really liked it. You know, it could have been more funner if I did if Thomas and the Magic Railroad did do a meanwhile for the Fat Controller going on holiday, except the actors were the main characters and stuff like that. So it could have been good if Thomas and the Magic Railroad did add Edward's model, which nobody knew. So I guess everybody were disappointed with this without Edward, but I just thought by knocking some sense into that, I would just make this video. And yes, I thought all the scenery of this could make a lot more sense, but you can think that it doesn't, but I suppose this video is what I think is why Edward isn't in the first Thomas movie. And yes, in the series, I mean, he was one of the first engines in the Railway series books, and I don't know why they wouldn't add him in their first Thomas movie. Now we move on to this scene. I guess it's when we all know the Fat Controller does talk with Mr. Conductor and his cousin on the phone and that sort of funny stuff which you guys get. Yeah, that. And because it was a fun scene to make, I just thought it was a very fun scene to make. I really did such a good job on this video, and I know some are having so much fun watching it right now, I guess. And yes, my first commentary video is a good video, and just like this one is. Now, as you can see, I have to speed this up a little or not. You know what? Never mind speeding this up a little. I'm going to, never mind. Let's just watch the whole scene. So we have Edward taking the Fat Controller and Lady Hat to the beach, to the forest, and to the mountains. And yeah, that Hornby tunnel was a good idea for the scene itself. And the Action Canyon was too. I mean, who else would want to go on holiday to some beautiful places anyway in real life, or if you want to make up videos of yourselves going on holiday and that stuff. But speaking of holidays, I will be going on holiday soon. And it is, well, very good that I will be on holiday soon. But by all means, we see Edward worrying about Sodor and what's going on and such with Splatter, Dodge, Diesel 10, Lady, Mr. Conductor, the engines and all such. But the Fat Controller here is telling him not to worry, which is good, because no worries means feel fine. So that's good. Now we might go to the last part of before they leave the countryside to go back home to Sodor. Yep, they're leaving now. Yep, the Fat Controller, Lady Hat and Edward. Yeah. And yeah, they're leaving. You'll see the boat scene soon. It will come up in a sec, I can promise you that now. We've only got a few minutes before it comes. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. You need to watch them leave first. Yep, they're leaving now. And here's the boat scene. Yeah, they go to the docks. Yeah, I thought the docks would be a good place to start and end the whole holiday and that sort of stuff. But anyways, we will be seeing Thomas appearing in this scene anytime sooner. Here he comes now. And he's saying how much he was happy to see Edward and the Fat Controller and Lady Hat, and the Fat Controller tells him to leave the docks, he did tell Mr. Conductor on the phone that he's coming home, so Thomas goes back to the sheds to tell the engines the good news, that Edward and the Fat Controller are coming home. And we see the shed scene. Yeah, I think this is, yeah, I did hear they would meet Mr. Conductor and the engines in the sheds. Now this is actually after we get to this part, after Thomas and Lady defeat Diesel 10. Yeah, that's, I just thought it would be a canon choice of me, but yeah, I did really want to make this. I did want to make an episode that is a meanwhile for Thomas and the Magic Railroad, and for why Edward wasn't in Thomas and the Magic Railroad. I mean, it could have been nicer if Edward was in this, but I guess not. So that's why I decided to make this video instead, which kind of made sense for me, which you guys, which you guys could agree with. And yep, that's how I wanted to make this. I mean, why not? It is good. A good video to make. I mean, I'm wondering that it could become popular to those that want to wonder why Edward wasn't in the first Thomas movie, Thomas and the Magic Railroad, etc., etc. And yeah. And yeah. So I must say this is one good commentary video. And this was how I wanted it to go as, and it is pretty good video. I recommended myself making this for why Edward wasn't in Thomas and the Magic Railroad. So, this is William the Tank Engine signing out, and goodbye.